Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an impromptu Cantina Conversations. I'm still like my work clothes and everything. My name is Travis the Trilogy Snail.
Ooh, I am the Taylor Field Saga.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is, like I said, impromptu conversations. We were going to drop at least one more before Last Jedi. I know we were talking about the softcast. I was planning on, we were planning on talking about Rey going to the dark side, Kylo going to the light side. But if you go listen to our Last Jedi trailer reaction and our breakdown we did on GeekVerse, we kind of already talked about that. So I'm just saying that because we said, that's going to be one of our topics. We hit hard pretty home because the trailer specifically kind of hinted at that. So this is kind of good timing because I was wondering, I'm like, what are we going to talk about? Like, what would be a good conversation? Because Last Jedi is just over a month away, like a month and a change and whatnot. So today, bunch of news randomly, and I guess we can talk about that in a second, but we're talking about two things. We're talking about Rian Johnson is doing his own trilogy out of the saga, and then a Star Wars live action TV show has been officially announced. Before we get into that, why do you think it came now? I feel like it's a very odd time. It's a Thursday. This is news that I almost feel like would have came in the new year after Last Jedi. Like it's not a convention. There's no D23. Like obviously they probably didn't have this plan then. But I was caught off guard today that just dropped this stuff.
I have no answer.
Wow.
Disney...
Letting the fans down.
Well, yeah, I am. But, at the same time, I'm not. Because, Disney can do whatever they want.
I'm letting you fans down. This is what you tune into, to be let down.
I don't know.
Yikes.
Disney, literally, they could be like, we're going to... they can drop whatever news they want any day. They could create their own holiday for all day.
They should.
Yeah, they should.
I might answer my own question because this, I think, was in... I don't know if this announcement was tied to, but the other announcements we'll talk about... It was tied to, there was I think a shareholders meeting or something, like the president or CEO of Disney was talking about all this stuff. So maybe that's it, but they did a formal announcement on Twitter. So I'm going to get the actual... stall for a second. I want to get the actual quote of their thing, so go
Disney
ahead.
CEO.
Mm-hmm. What would they name the holiday? Go with that.
The holiday?
Yeah.
I'd love it to be something like... No, nothing as stupid as Disney Day, because that'd be so, cheesy. It'd have to be something like Walt Day or Walter's Eve or something like...
And you thought Disney Day was bad? I have the news story. I just wanted to get you...
Instead of Disney, Diz Eve.
I liked Disney Day. First time out of the bat, you hit it a home run, and then you just took it away.
Walter's Eve, just...
Walter's Eve. No one's gonna know who the fuck Walt Disney is in a few years. It's gonna be... fucking Kevin Feige Eve or Kathleen Kennedy. So here was the official title. Rian Johnson, writer/director of Star Wars Last Jedi, to create an all-new Star Wars trilogy. For director Rian Johnson, Last Jedi was just the beginning. What a cheesy...
Just the beginning.
What a cheesy... This is from StarWars.com, so their official website. Lucasfilm is excited to announce that Johnson will create a brand new Star Wars trilogy, the first of which he is also set to write and direct with longtime collaborator Ram Bergman, who I'll find out who that is exactly. Johnson conceived and relieved a powerful film of which Lucasfilm and Disney are immensely proud of. Yeah, this is all just blowing him, blah, blah. We all love working with Ryan, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's just a bunch of, he's great, this is great, it's a blank canvas. The other thing that's not here, because I think they either asked him for a comment or someone else broke it, but there was, I saw, and everyone's picked up on this, there was this story that was updated, will not be part of the Luke Skywalker saga, which I kind of understood when they said all new, all different Star Wars, but what is your first take? Just, we're going to obviously break it down, but right when you heard this, when I texted you this, because you said you hadn't even read this press release of the story, when I texted you this, what was going through your mind? Were you excited? Were you nervous? What was the range of emotions Sarah was going through while he was thinking about Disney Day?
I was I felt a little anxious at the same time. I felt mystified, I guess.
Mystified.
Yeah, because at the same time thinking if we get this trilogy, obviously it's gonna fill in our Star Wars cravings until we get the next Skywalker trilogy, whenever that would be.
Mm-hmm.
10, 11, 12 or whatever. So, but my big question is, I doubt obviously it would happen after episode 9. That was my only thing. I was just thinking when it's going to take place. I feel like if they have plans for a 10, 11, 12, they would not touch anything that's Star Wars 9 and afterwards.
It's tough because I was gonna counter you and say that I think it is gonna be after 9. Because the only reason is, and maybe it's just because it's so early, but I feel like in this announcement they would have said it's gonna take place in this era. This era, he obviously has an idea of what he wants to do. I think it is tricky after 9 what you're playing with, like with the characters and everything like that. But the thing is, I think he could do a trilogy about characters, and it's not, I think we've talked about this before, not a world-ending event maybe, something that's more character-based.
Mm-hmm.
But you bring up a good point of, do you really... I don't know, because obviously, I think this is what's going to happen is, this is going to happen, I think they said, like, not until 2020. So obviously, episode 9 will come out, right? And JJ will do that. It'll be over. I think this definitely shows that they're going to take a break, but they're just replacing one trilogy with another. That the second the episodes are done, you'll have this trilogy, and then I guarantee you when this trilogy is done, that's when the episodes are going to pick up. And I guess that's a good question because I did think it was going to be after 9 just because of that press release, but you bring up a good point. I don't know. It's tough because obviously it's going to be new characters, I imagine. Like, it's not going to be like Rey or Finn if they were doing that episode 9, but how much or how close is too close to the episodes movies, right? Like, do you want to keep that being special and it being like, if we're in present day, are people going to be like, oh, the episodes aren't as special because this is happening adjacent to it? Like, that's the thing I don't know. Take it that way. If it is in the I'm just saying present day for Star Wars, what would be the approach? Because that, you could 100% be right. I just think they would have, when we got the Rogue One announcement, it was, hey, this is a prequel, it's in the past. Same thing with Han Solo was, hey, this is about young, obviously, it was, Han Solo is dead when they announced Han Solo movie. But every time we've had so far, and not counting Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, because those are like rumors, right? They've never come out and said this is officially happening. Every time we've gotten a movie announced, it's always been, this is who's writing it, this is who's directing it, this is what it's about, and this is when it takes place. We didn't get that, so that was I could completely be wrong, but that was my only reason of thinking just the pattern of, hey, how come this is the first movie or franchise like announced, but no timeline? That's why I did think it was going to be after episode 9.
I think that, I mean, just for my kind of example and evidence that I look towards is the fact that as they're writing this trilogy, they aren't dishing up any kind of content or media in any form that goes beyond 8 right now. And they're literally going as they're going along.
But what about this? Doesn't that change if this comes out after the trilogy happening, though, right now?
If it does, but then, I mean, that affects the situation. Like, oh, they're going to have games and books coming out. But again, like, are they going to... I just feel like that's a part of the era that they wouldn't want to touch. Mm-hmm. Like, even now, let's say, like, the episode 7 came out, obviously. It came out after 6, and, like, they I know.
Oh, fuck.
Me, right?
Obviously, it came after 6. If we're doing the math here, folks, let's be honest. Let's stop lying to each other. 7 came after 6. It's the same thing earlier when you're like, you know, so there's 7, and then episode 8, 9, and then there'll be 10, 11, 12. Just playing the count. There's two Star Wars episodes. Snoke's count.
I feel like, with episode 7, there was a 20-year difference in between episode 6 and 7. So even then, I feel like they didn't properly. I mean, they covered it, but not much until the movie came out. Then they covered everything that was going on.
Yeah, it was pretty hidden secrets. Like there wasn't a bunch of books fleshing out. This was the thing. So.
But that being said, I feel like if this trilogy that comes out would be between episode 8. Or episode 9 and 10, whenever that 10 trilogy comes out, I feel like they wouldn't cover that because we didn't get any information covered between 6 and 7 until after 7
Would
came
it be different though if it's what I oppose? What I suggested of it is in that time period, but it has characters nothing to do with this main canon, like this main story, and it is not a, hey, Snoke's here, Ren's here, Starkiller base. Like, what if it is a story? I always say something like a Logan, where it's not the world's ending, it's these characters' lives are ending, or this, you know, sort of that way.
They very well could, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like even their it wouldn't fit, and their anthology films even. Yes, they're not a part of the Skywalker trilogy, but or a saga. But I mean, at the same time, they're still connected to the large scale kind of the system. But I guess when we watch Han Solo, we'll know how that fits. Like, is it still connecting to like this larger scale storyline that we get in the Skywalker?
No, I think it's just even though there's rumors of Vader being in there, which I hope not. I think it's just for Han Solo. I hope it's just more backstory in him. I don't think he'll be like, he better not, because that to me would really step on some stuff.
I feel like you can write like an independent Star Wars film or trilogy, but at the same time, it's going to be in the shadow of the larger Star Wars events that are in the episodes. And I feel like if it comes out after Star Wars 9, it's just going to have... They could cover it up or block it out, period, but I feel like still there's going to be something there that's going to be preceding to the events of Episode 10.
But I don't know if they'll have to worry about that because wouldn't... You're saying like, oh, like something that you're talking about like Han Solo and Rogue One, there's always like that bigger Star Wars movie, right? There's not, in the way I take it as, there wouldn't be that bigger Star Wars movie on the horizon. I think 9's going to happen, they're going to say we're done for a while. So I don't think, let's just, like, it's Johnson's trilogy, we'll just call it that. Is it really competing with everything? Because I think it's the reverse. I think Last Jedi is going to be great. And I think now, if it's great, people are going to be really excited for his own, like, trilogy. And don't you think that would almost be like the top dog competing with the Obi-Wans, the Boba Fett's, whatever it is, because it's going to be a trilogy in this whole story? That's the thing. It doesn't have to worry about the episodes, because the episodes will be away. Don't you think that it has that wiggle room?
Yeah.
It could be just because they announced it, not even that he's making Star Wars movie, the way that they said a trilogy makes me think it's going to get a big highlight. No matter what, it's Star Wars, but this makes it feel like it's not equivalent to the episodes, but it's just below. Like, it's more... This feels more important than any of the anthology movies they've announced, because it's just like they've announced writers, directors, trilogy, and it's like pretty much a date, and they've even been specific saying it's not... They haven't said time, they just said not to do with the Skywalker. So don't you feel like all that info could make it the top dog while the episodes are gone?
It very well could, but at the same time, it depends on, for me, what era it's going to be, I guess. Like, I feel like it's so too dangerous for them to be tackling on more stuff after, like in the future, after episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like episode 7 to 9, that's a perfect amount of the content we got there for the future. And then, I mean, they shouldn't tap into it until they get into, like maybe another spin-off or something. I don't know. But I feel like as a trilogy, they should cover more of, like, in between episodes, like 6 and 7. Doesn't have to be like with the Skywalkers or anything, but there's so much stuff that happens with the Rebellion or with the Empire, and so much on such a larger scale, like the events and even characters that we don't get to see or don't know within that 30-year time frame. There's still so much content we don't know about. Or even then, my first thought that came to my mind was thinking, okay, what if they went with the Old Republic or something like that?
Well, I'll pose that question to you in a second. There's two things I want to ask you. One, I guess my counter of the way they keep saying that it's going to be like an all-new trilogy, I feel like if he has to do between 5 and 6, 6 and 7, 7 and whatever, 7 and 10, now it would be, okay, 6 and 10 in that that range, I don't think he gets to do the all-new. I think he has to still follow a formula. You look at Rogue One, that follows, like, you can't... The way I look at this is with Rogue One, and like we talked about with Han Solo, like him going the main continuity, that wouldn't make sense. In those movies, you're hamstring. There's certain things you can't do, right? You can't have Han Solo all of a sudden lightsaber duel Darth Vader. That's why I do think that either this is after Episode 9, or I do think it is as far back as Knights of the Old Republic, which is very welcomed. But I think I don't think this film, specifically this trilogy, I think what you're talking about is a good idea in between the 7 to, or the 6 to 10 in that era, or what, I guess it's just 6 to 7, but I think that is a one movie deal. I don't know if that's a trilogy. I think that's similar to Rogue One, where they give you a snippet of time in that area, and you meet some characters, and you move along. And if it's successful and they're alive, maybe we'll continue. But I don't think there's a trilogy to mine in there. I think it's
even
similar.
with 30 years to work with, though.
If they had specifically said no if they had said they did not say that Skywalkers were going to be in it, then I'd give it to you, because I feel like, okay, we might get some young Leia in there. There could be some Han. There could be some Luke and Ben action.
But that's the thing, because I mean, Luke is obviously with the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
And Leia is with the the Rebellion or whatever. So we don't need to even focus on them. There's 30 years of stuff.
There's lots of stuff changing, but if you look at all the biggest events though that we've been told so far, they all center around all like the characters we loved, right? Like Leia becoming a general, Luke going to Jedi Council, training these young Jedi. Same thing even with Finn and Rey. And even maybe Poe, if you're focusing on the rebellion and whatnot, I think eventually Poe would have to figure into it, right? And I don't think they're going to do that. So that's why I think that's a film. I don't think it would be a trilogy. And I don't think... Because I still feel like the way they word it is, it's too much... He would have not enough wiggle room. And the thing is, that was my biggest complaint about Rogue One, is I felt the day they announced it, what it was gonna like ending wise. I think with a director like him and what we've seen from Last Jedi so far and his other films like Looper and even The Fly from Breaking Bad, he's a very unique director. So I think he's gonna want to take chances. He's gonna want to do stories that you don't have to hit this, and this. I think he's going to want stories where they might say, hey, just make sure you're not cutting people's fucking heads off and there's nudity. The rest go and do it. So that's why I think it'll be 9 or in the old time. And that's the only reason why I could be reading so much in this, but that's why I still took the After 9 over the Old Republic, just because they kept saying like all new. And with Old Republic, it is all new, but it's still a prequel, right? I guess this is my main thing. I don't see him going, this type of director, I don't see him going, hey, I want to adapt that book or video game. I see him being, I want to make my own story, my own lore. That's my approach that I'm taking. That I think and obviously they are really invested in him because he's doing episode 8, and now this is for everybody, and I'll ask this question later. Everybody that was complaining that he's not doing episode 9, well, here's your fucking reason, because they pulled him aside, they had an idea like, hey, you want to do 3 movies or 1? So now when everyone's like, oh, he should have done 9, we still haven't seen Last Jedi, but I guarantee you they're a big fan of it, and I think I'm going to be a big fan of it, and this is, I don't know, like, what would you've not seen Last Jedi, so I think we're going to ask this question again. Maybe I'll ask you this question again when we see Last Jedi. What would you have rather him done? That's what I mean, like, it's hard, but this trilogy or finishing 9? And I guess it's kind of an impossible answer.
I mean,
a question to ask.
Like doing 8 and 9, or doing the whole?
Yeah, 8 and 9, because what people want, they said, oh, he should have done 9. That's what I mean. I think if he would have done 9, we wouldn't be getting this right now.
He could, obviously, like, he's done great things, but I mean, I don't want to be like instantly like, yeah, do 8 and 9. I want to see what he does with 8. I want to see, like, right away the tone is dark. It feels great. It feels like it just reminisces again. Empire Strikes Back had a dark tone. This feels like he's captured it in a new way.
But to be honest, every sequel has a darker tone, though. If you think about
Force Awakens, I didn't feel that at all. It felt colorful,
no. The second chapter in a story. If you think about, like, you think of Two Towers, you think of The Dark Knight. It's always the first movie's always introducing the characters and them almost being at the height of their powers, right? Like Batman saves the city. You know, he's on top. He's fixing things, and then the Joker comes in and ruins things, and it gets really dark. Same thing with Two Towers. They are a unit. They're together. They're gonna go destroy the ring. In 2 hours, they're split off. There's Helm's Deep. Frodo's seeing fucking ring race all over the place. Like, and the part 2 in movies are always the darker tale. So that's not just a Star Wars
They are,
thing.
but that being said, when you look at Last Jedi and Force Awakens, and we're watching both the trailers.
But even Attack of the Clones is darker than Phantom of the Menace.
It is, but then when you watch the Force Awakens trailer, it looks colorful. The atmosphere is bright. It is introduction, obviously, but it feels very different. When you look at The Last Jedi, I don't know, it feels like they filmed it with a different kind of camera lens or something, because it feels darker in every aspect. Yeah. Not just the fact that, like, yes, there's darker things happening, but when Rey activates her lightsaber, it just seems dark behind her. It feels everything has just been shaded down into this new tone.
I guess the way I'm saying is, I don't think, to me, when I watch these trailers, I don't feel that it's an Empire clone. I just feel that it's following the natural progression of a story where this is the middle chapter, it gets darker, we need big obstacles for the character. So I don't think he has Empire vibes, but I would say the Dark Knight has Empire vibes, and Spider-Man 2 does. Like, they get darker. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it is following Empire. It's like, oh, I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing someone reveal to their father. I think it's just being dark, and I'll agree with you there. But that's, I mean, I think we'll talk about that again in Cantina, because for me, I don't know, I don't know, I feel like this is the better move. I was a big fan of JJ coming. I guess it's kind of what we said. I'm a big fan of JJ coming back because I've seen Force Awakens, right? I haven't seen Last Jedi, but I imagine what this result is. I bet they've screened The Last Jedi for internal critics, at least. Not critics that would, like, Rotten Tomatoes, just people that they trust, and I imagine they might get good feedback, and it might be like, hey, let's lock this guy down, because you don't want Last Jedi coming out. He's already a big director, but he's like JJ, he'll become even bigger, and you don't want someone taking him away, right? So lock him down to 3 pictures. That's it. And this is what I was going to ask you earlier. So we've gone back and forth if it could be after episode 9. If it is, are you on the defensive more because you don't know how it'll fit, or is it something you wouldn't even like? Like, let's say they come out tomorrow, like, oh yeah, it's going to happen after episode 9. Is that something you're interested in, or do you want to be in the past?
I mean, no, I wouldn't be interested in it.
Wow.
I mean, yes, it's Star Wars. At the end of the day, I'll welcome it. But I mean, once I get past episode 9, I feel like, I'm gonna be kind of done with like this kind of era now. I'm gonna want like
even if it's a story that doesn't have anything to do with those characters, and like I said, Logan-esque, where it's like there's not the world ending, it's just these characters up against obstacles. Like if these characters are relic hunters, these characters are slicers. Like we haven't seen so much of the Star Wars universe that it doesn't have to be there's a Star Killer Base 3.
I just feel like then they're like, because the time spent between Force Awakens and 9, I'm gonna probably say it's no longer than probably like 5 years or something like that.
In real life or
in
movies?
Movie time.
I don't even know that because Last Jedi picks up right after Force Awakens.
Yeah,
so.
well, I mean, I'm saying at the most it'd be 5, because I mean that's probably roughly what the original trilogy was. I think it was like 5 years. But I mean, I just feel like if they keep continuing right after that and keep going forwards, I feel like it's just continue going along that timeline with the episodes.
I guess my point is I feel like the Star Wars episodes are very much like the Avengers movies or like Justice League coming out, where the world always has to be at stake in those movies, right? Always has to be a big world, like, or a big problem or a big villain or a big conflict. That's where, for me, I can go either way. I definitely lean towards Old Republic a bit more, or I don't want so much a prequel of in-between stuff, because like I said, I think you get hamstringed. But I would like to see the the characters, like that world, Force Awakens, but with characters like when they went to see Maz. Like, I'd like to see that world where it's not, oh, these 5 planets are getting blown up, right? And I think that could happen. I think he could create a story that doesn't have to deal with, okay, there's Kylo Ren, there's a Darth Vader clone. Like, it could be some internal struggle, whether that's a new Jedi, whether that's even, he didn't have to do new Jedi. That's, I mean, like, there's slicers, there's things we haven't even seen in the movies yet. Like, we've seen them in video games, and I think they say that, I think his name's DJ, Benicio del Toro character in Last Jedi is a slicer, but there's certain, like, even in Knights of the Republic, there's, like, these, like, huge arenas where they have, like, Thor and Hulk fights where you can fight people and other creatures. Like, there's the underbelly. Like, maybe this is how we get our even Bounty Hunter movie. Maybe it's not, like, Boba or Jango Fett, but it's, like, it's him making a character that's about the life of a hitman or a bounty hunter in this world. That's why I would like to see it, because I would like to see, with the Force Awakens new era Disney lens, but it not have to be like, oh, we gotta get it from point A to point B to stop this thing happening, right? Like, doesn't that intrigue you at all, seeing a movie in that universe, in this era, but not having to be such a grandiose film?
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, I don't know.
It's
I mean, at the
still
end of the day,
tough for you,
not really.
Wow.
I mean, it's just, I feel like there's not enough in this. Like, I love the new trilogy where they're going with it. I really do. Like, I think there's a lot of cool stuff, and there's more I want to learn from it.
How can you say there's not enough when this guy can write whatever he wants? He can create enough.
I don't want it in a trilogy, though. I feel like a trilogy dedicated to, like, all this stuff in this new era, I feel like there's too much.
I don't know, but then we don't know what's happening. It's not predictable. Like, Han Solo's going to be on Rogue One. Like, this would be... Because, really, even Knights of the Republic, you know, these characters eventually are going to die. They're going to go off. If they said this happens after Episode 9, you'd have no idea what would happen. Plus, you also get the benefit of, I don't know if they would do this, but Disney does also own Marvel. What happens if there's one great character in this trilogy, and then when they get to the episodes later on, they bring that character over in, like, a crossover mode? You know, like, they could be building their own like, crossover, you know, little universe soon to take character there. Or what happens in this Episode 9 if Poe at the end of this trilogy is just a general, and in one movie he's in this movie, it's like you're working with him as a general, right? Like, I think there's more. I think this has more than any of the eras as far as to dive into, because it's new. They can make up and dive whatever they want. If they want to make a teddy bear that's a volcano creature and they want to go get that relic, they could do that, because there's no guidelines whatsoever. So when you say there's not enough to mine, they can create the mine and mine it themselves.
Yeah. It doesn't, I don't know. There's not enough that interests me. I mean, they can, as you said, they can create whatever they frickin' want.
But that's the same as Force Awakens. Other than the returning characters, what would have interested you, right? You don't know these new people. You don't know their problems, but they wrote it good enough. They made you like Rey. They make you like Finn and Poe and Kylo Ren. That if, let's say, I still feel like, wouldn't you have liked those characters if Han and Leia and Luke were not there? Like, those characters alone?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. I feel like if they make a movie with great characters, it could work. I'm not saying that's what they're going, but I'm saying I think it's possible. And I think you could be turned wrong. I don't know if they're going to do... I don't know. Really excited.
This is one of the reasons why I'm not hugely excited for Han Solo, is because, you know, I like
you
movies that
dislike the greatest character in Star Wars history.
you know, he's getting his movie, that's great, but I mean, if I like the Force. I like Jedi and Sith, but I don't need it to always be attached to Skywalker. That's not what I need all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, if they were going to do a trilogy that had more of that, because I feel like Star Wars at its core is Jedi and Sith.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I feel like at the end of the day, maybe Disney is trying to drift away from that a little bit.
I don't think so. I think they're just saving that for the episodes. I think when you want to see a lightsaber on lightsaber action, when you want to see Luke and Rey throwing rocks around, you got to go to episode 10 or episode 11. I think that's why.
That's where it hurts me a little bit too on the inside, because like seeing a Sith user who happened to be a Skywalker in Rogue One was fantastic, and I'd love to see more of that in a standalone film. And if they were this trilogy, that's why I think, like, you know, it's already written kind of the events of the Old Republic. The only thing canon is really what's in that video game, I guess, if that counts. I don't know.
The video game, Knights of the Old Republic?
No, the online, the Old Republic.
I don't think it does. I think that's the last thing of canon that is. Yeah, it's not, because if Revan's in that game and Revan's not in it.
So it's not canon.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's one of the last things still going because it makes money. So yeah, it's not.
Well then, I mean, I feel like they could literally write up whatever they wanted then. Yeah. I mean, and I think 100% they should. I think that's an era, and they could say it's a new trilogy easily, because it is a new trilogy technically, play on words, but I feel like there's so much stuff. There's no Skywalkers, period, because they don't come popping out till Shmi's around. So.
Oh, Shmi.
But I feel like, you know, that's the era I want.
Oh, her name is Shmi Skywalker.
Shmi Skywalker,
yeah.
But I know there's the characters, there's everything, there's the Jedi, the Sith. I mean, and they could write up all new Sith Lords. They could do Revant instead of Revan or something. I don't know.
No, God.
But I mean, I feel like that is and I think Rian Johnson would be perfect for that, because it's a dark time and there's so much crazy shit happening around then. Mm-hmm. The only other, I know it wouldn't happen, but if it happened, I would pray to some god in some shape or form in like cheerfulness. If they did a Thrawn trilogy, I'd be sold. Him rising through the ranks of the Empire, because as a character he's fascinating. Mm. Oh, but
so those are the two you want. You want either Knights of the Republic or Thrawn.
Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah. I guess this is where I'll bring this question. So Knights of the Republic, if you look at the game, if they were to adapt something similar to that, right? There's a lot of things. You're a character that wakes up with amnesia. You meet a lot of characters. You meet a lot of Jedis. You meet Bastila. Bastila turns... Okay, major spoilers for all the game, but it's so old, you should play it by now. She turns evil. You are going to planet relic hunting and everything like that. What the hell's the guy's name? The other Darth. It's not Darth Bane, is it? Is it Darth Bane?
Who creates the rule of two?
No, but who else is in the game?
There's Darth Nihilus, Darth Revan, Darth Bane, Darth Sion is his name.
No, it's not Darth Bane. I'm trying to find out the Knights of the Republic guy who is it, because there's with
the white mask on his
face. Yeah.
Oh, that's Nihilus. It's white with the red markings over his eyes. Nihilus.
Really? That was his name this whole
Darth
time?
Nihilus, yeah.
Wow. So anyway, I'm just making sure. No, you're wrong there. That's Knights of the Republic 2. He has like the whatever.
Well, what guy are you thinking of the white mask?
He has like the mouthpiece or whatever like that. Revan and.
Are you thinking of that new guy, Darth Malgus?
Revan and Bastila fanfic.
Are you not? You're from your Old Republic, right? Not the online one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the new one online is Darth Malgus.
Apprentice. Let's try that. That might work here. Sorry, folks. Don't give me just Revan. I don't want just Revan. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. Well, anyways, I'll figure out. So he has a big role to play in it. Apparently not that big enough so I can forget his name. But you go to multiple planets. You're looking for all like the Jedi. I can't remember what they're called. I think they're the relics or they're the. I can't remember what they are.
Like holocrons.
The holocrons or something like that. Like there's pieces all put together. There you meet lots of companions that you can bring forward. You got the robot, the Wookiee, everything like that. And then there's multiple endings, which they wouldn't have to do that. But there is a lot to cover in Knights of the Republic. True, they could just take it like kind of a Civil War thing of like we're gonna take the storyline and do it our own way, but kind of use that vibe of it. And you go to like a Jedi Council, you train. My thing is, because today the other thing that they announced, and I knew they were gonna do this. I'm gonna go on a mini rant here. because I was not on the newscast when you guys talked about months ago. If anyone fucking doubted that Disney was gonna get your money for that Disney streaming app, God, you are dumb. I don't understand it. I told you. Hashtag Travis told you, and they said it once on a cast. Because today they announced a few things. Not for us, but High School Musical live action show. That's hitting some generation out there, though, and that'll be huge for them. Monsters, Inc. TV show, which I cannot fucking wait. That just sounds like fantastic. I don't, like, this is not GeekVerse news, so we're not going to talk about a lot, but that just sounds perfect, whether it's, like, in their university or their scare. Like, I'd love to just follow a guy going to work every day, scaring or making kids laugh. Of course, they announced a Marvel live-action show, but then they announced this is going to be the first ever Star Wars live-action show. They also said that the stream app's going to be significantly lower than Netflix's $10.99, so rest in peace to Netflix. But this is a question I'll pose to you, because a trilogy, and this is why I'm torn, a trilogy is a lot. That could be 2.5 hours, so that could be anywhere from 9 to 10 hours of content. What would work better, though, for Knights of the Old Republic when I talk about if they were to even go semi-route of the video game, a trilogy or a TV series? Because I think a trilogy is enough time you could cover it, but to not feel rushed at all. And like with Knights of the Old Republic, the thing I love about it is you get to explore all those planets, and you go to all these different areas, and if there's a Rancor in the middle of the desert, you fight them. Like, there's so many great moments in that video game. I think in a trilogy, no matter what, you'd have to skip over some, where literally you going to every planet could be an entire season of a Knights of the Republic TV show. And there's not that much, you could tone down the lightsaberness. Other than Bastila, for a while there's not many Jedis. You could save it, it's Disney, they're going to pour tons of money in this app, so I don't even think budget's a problem. They could make it a high end if people are going to pay for it. So what is your, because I feel like you're doing a big butt.
If they were to do it on the Old Republic, I don't think they would tap into the video game. I think they would maybe look at it, a couple ideas, possibly, maybe even rarely I think would they do that, but other than that I think it would be something completely new.
And this is just like... So what do you mean completely new? So what would it be?
I think it would follow a lot about the Sith and the Jedi and
that's not Knights of... Fucking Malik was his name. Darth Malik.
Malik. Yeah, now I know what it looks like now. Yeah.
But how does that... Following the Sith and the Jedi, what's better? Because the thing is, some people have said, like, man, I'd love a movie about the beginning of the Sith or the beginning of the Jedi or, like, the Rule of Two. A trilogy, maybe you could do that, but with most movies, you're not going to have enough time to get into those fine details. Like a TV show, no, I don't think you can.
But I think in a trilogy, if they were to be like, okay, we got Old Republic, Bane, the trilogy coming out or whatever, I think I'd be sold. We get the Rule of Two covered, we get to see probably, I could see the beginning of the trilogy explaining or covering or showing the Sith basically killing each other, fighting the Jedi, and Bane being the last one, and coming to this realization.
That's not Knights of the Old Republic, though.
Yeah, but it is close to the era. They're not close enough.
It's close to the era, but not that story of Revan. Like, this is a major big spoiler. This is the thing for me where I don't know. So, like, if you take about a trilogy, so the story is obviously you wake up on that craft and you have the amnesia and you get off and you meet Bastila, and then eventually, I guess, Bastila turns evil, and then at the end you could turn evil, turn good. But then you go to, like, Malik's big base spaceship and you fight a bunch of Jedis off. In that process, you become a Jedi. You're looking for these holograms. Like, I don't know. Could you, like? So this is the thing. Like, would you have enough time with Bastila? In the video game, you spent hours and hours with her. So literally, it'd be the first movie you'd meet her. The second movie, she'd have to turn the dark side, and then the third movie, you bring her back.
I don't think they would cover that though.
But that's why for me, I want the TV show version, because there's so many great moments and storylines I want them to cover. I don't want them to just take a slice, and that's the thing I worry too. I don't want them to do let's take Revan, he's a cool character. That twist is great. Of, like I said, major spoiler, sorry, but like of the character you're playing with this whole time. And some people have said that could be Rey. I would love it if that happened to Rey, where she realized this whole time she was like, she found out that she was a dark Jedi a Sith or whatnot, like an evil dark Force user. But that twist is one of the best twists I think ever, not even video games and like a movie. The fact that you play this character the whole time, it's all about what happened to Revan, where is he, and eventually you find enough information, realize you were Revan, and the Jedi wiped your mind because you were so dangerous and so powerful, but they wanted to turn you good. I think that's a great storyline. The connection he has with Bastila, I don't know if you could get that in a movie. I think you could, because Rian Johnson's talented director, and a trilogy is a lot. But then I feel like if you focus on one thing, Knights of the Old Republic, you can't do anything. Like, you can't do, is his name like K2947 or something like that, the killer droid who's like similar to the one in Rogue One, but he's more violent. He's just about killing people. There's that one Jedi and her Wookiee. There's that one Jedi you find in the He's in the woods. There's one Jedi you turn good. Like, I know this is just fanboying, and I would want it all, but the thing is, if they do a Knights of the Old Republic movie, I feel that they can only pick, like you said, maybe Darth Bane, the Rule of Two. They could pick Revan. I don't know if they could do it all, and that's where I feel like a TV show. Think about Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, to me, you could easily do they don't need the sex and the violence, but couldn't you see a Knights of the Old Republic TV show working the same way of Games of Thrones?
Absolutely.
Building for years and years.
But the thing is, though, none of that exists. None of it exists, period. Now, if they went out and said,
in the canon?
Yeah, in the
canon.
canon.
They could make it exist with this
They
now.
could, but
yeah.
it doesn't, though. That's the thing. If they were to be like... that's just it. It doesn't exist in the canon. So I mean,
yeah, but
they can
neither
create
did
whatever
Kylo
they
Ren,
want.
and there's he's a character now. You know.
Yes, that's exactly it. But to them, if they were to write a story, they don't have to tap into that period. It's like because they rewrote when they wrote episode 7, they disregarded the fact that Thrawn takes over the remnants of the Empire, that Luke goes off and fights a clone Jedi, like Emperor Palpatine clones himself and comes back. That all was canon, but it's not there anymore. That's the same situation for the Old Republic. It's there, but they can just rewrite all of it. When
like
they write a
comic
trilogy,
book movies where they take some of it, but they leave some.
Yeah.
Of it.
So when they're gonna write that trilogy out of the Old Republic, they don't have to tap into like the droid or any of it, which sucks. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think that what we do know of that exists is Bane is confirmed, basically. And we know, like, the...
I thought you meant for this movie. I'm like,
no.
It's not. What are you reading into this?
No,
Rian Johnson, you've heard it here, folks. GeekVerse confirmed Bane. Darth Bane is in the Rian Johnson trilogy. It's just called Bane.
Yeah.
Bane, a Star Wars story.
We just know, like, the only bit of history
JJ.
before the prequels is Bane. That's basically it.
Yeah.
And I guess even the Sith, if you want to take Maz Kanata's words in that sense. But I mean, I feel like there's just, like I said, they can tap in and create whatever they want.
No, I agree. Then okay, so if they do that, I feel like this is the tricky thing because I feel like the Star Wars TV show could definitely be, like I said, Logan asked where it's gonna be. I think that'll be super smaller scale. Like that'll be more character based. But to me, if they do a movie about whether it's Knights of the Old Republic, Rule 2, Darth Bane, all that Revan, I feel like. Do you not do that for the TV show then? Because don't you worry it's too similar? Because even though Rogue One and Han Solo are both prequels, they're very different as far as this is a rebellion trying to stop the Empire, and this is about a smuggler. Where if you had a TV show like you're proposing of, about the Siths and Jedi's early beginnings, but then a movie about Darth Bane creating the Rule of Two, isn't that kind of too similar to stand out? Like, isn't it too... You don't like Rebels is in a different. It's not during Force Awakens right now, right? It's right back. So everything they put out is pretty distant from one another. Even though Rebels could tie close to Rogue One, but it still took place years before.
I can't remember what I read, but I think they're trying to get Rebels to tie up literally right up leading to Rogue One.
Yeah, and then it's gonna end. Yeah.
But that being said, I feel like when they pick a TV series, I think they're very good at picking a timeline. I don't think a TV series would at all be before the prequels in the Old Republic.
Really?
Not at all. I think that if
is there a chance it could be in the prequel era, like young Qui-Gon Jinn TV show?
It could be, but I think it would be kind of boring.
Whoa! He meets Obi-Wan. Come on, you get Liam Neeson with that old age CGI.
I don't know. I don't feel like there's failed trade negotiations and shit.
Well,
Jar Jar's adventures.
Do you think they'll ever go back to the prequel era? Because they did in video games and they have in comic books, so they're slowly starting to get back there.
The only thing that they could tap into, I mean, that would really interest people. That's exciting. Is probably the Clone Wars era. I feel like. I mean,
I feel like it's before the prequels because you could spin it as like, oh, it's before those movies, or it's after in the 3 to 4 where you could do not that they do a TV show, but seeing more of Vader become Vader like they have done in the comics, right? Like that's one of my biggest complaints is. If the prequels end with Vader being Vader, it's like, well, we still want to see those moments of him becoming more evil and whatnot. I think there's a good prequel movie. I just don't know if they'll do it, or TV show, but they could do it.
They pay respects to the prequels, but I don't think they're tapping into it that much. The games, obviously, are different, but I feel like...
Do you think they ever will, though?
They could down the road, after they've established themselves in their own new trilogy.
I'll give you this. In the next 10 years, do we get not... the other content, a TV or movie centered around the prequel era, and that could even be 10 years before. Really, in 10 years?
I don't doubt it. I can see that for sure. As far as a prequel being, or not a prequel, TV series, like I said, it wouldn't touch on Old Republic at all. I doubt it would be in the prequel era. I think it would probably touch upon I think it would probably run adjacent to the original trilogy, or
That
it
would
would
be
be
fun.
between episode 6 and 7.
That's another case where you could do a Boba Fett or some sort of bounty hunter one. Like that's the thing. So far, I do feel like everything, because if they just announced Rian Johnson was doing a new film, it'd be different. But because they're doing a trilogy and a TV series, I think both could. Even though we have our preferences, I think Knights of the Old Republic could work for both a trilogy or a TV series. Same thing as Boba Fett. Same thing as Rule 2. Because these are longer pieces of storytelling, so I think almost anything we've suggested could work for either or. And it's going to be interesting to see what they choose. I guess my last question is, with the movie and TV show, I guess TV show more specifically, because they said it's going to be an all-new trilogy, even though some stuff could pop up, do any of these focus on, like I said, young Qui-Gon Jinn? Like, do the movie or TV show focus on anybody we know from the past? Because we still know there might be a Boba Fett or Bounty Hunter movie, might be an Obi-Wan movie. Did these things focus on any characters known as well? Because I think the trilogy's a no. I think the way they're saying all new, I think it'll be, like I said, maybe you could have a cameo, but I don't think it'll be like, Qui-Gon Jinn, the trilogy. I think that's new. So the TV show, do we focus on anything previously, a character, anything like that? Jabba, the series?
Yeah, Yaba.
Jabba.
I feel like at the rate they're going with their, we just had Rogue One, obviously.
Yep.
We didn't get Han Solo yet, but I feel like that they did a lot of nods and incorporations of characters and things from the other main movies. I feel like a TV series would have a lot of that.
I think I'll go the opposite. I think they could be nods to it, like if you said it took place during the 3 to 6 era, but I think they're going to be all new characters, because I think they also are going to do a TV show that could help the lore, but not have to worry about stepping into it. If it was animation, then I'd say, oh, that's different, but I think because if it's going to be live action, much more eyes are going to be on this. Like, I think the Rebel show maybe gets 2-3 million weekly or something like that, which is a great number, but Star Wars is the biggest franchise of all time, and the second they have a live action TV show,
it'll be huge.
Everybody's eyes are going to be on that. So I think they will decide to do something new and something.
I definitely don't think it won't be between 3 and 4. Rebels has covered that.
Yeah.
So I mean,
5 to 6.
5 to 6. Yeah.
I've always said they don't talk because isn't there like a year or two in between when they get Han, Frozen, and then they never touch those eras, and I'd love to see. None that would be about young Luke. Yeah, but that's tough because the TV show, I don't think you get like CGI young Luke or something. That's why TV shows.
I wouldn't want it.
No, but I'm saying they're more limited that way for storytelling.
Yeah, they are. I mean that's okay, because I mean they can dish that stuff out in like games, like they're doing, like for Battlefront too. Like we get to see Luke after Episode 6 in the storyline.
Yeah.
So I mean they can keep it to that kind of stuff. But I mean for his TV series, again, it shouldn't tap into the Old Republic, and I had a reason why it shouldn't. Just the events, like the Rule of 2 and the characters that would be introduced in that. I feel like they're too big for a TV series.
Yeah, but I would counter you the same way as saying, I know you always say the story was there, but I still think not doing Obi-Wan and Maul on the big screen was too big to do on TV, and they did that. Like, I know they covered it in Clone Wars and carry over, but I've always said this. If they did an Obi-Wan movie and fans are excited, the general people who still saw the prequels, they like Darth Maul. If that trailer ended with just Darth Maul lighting up his lightsaber, people wouldn't. We've said this before with the Joker movie. We've said this before. People wouldn't care that he has fucking robotic legs or what he's doing. If they just saw Darth Maul fighting Obi-Wan live action, that would have sold the movie right there.
People wouldn't care, but then at the same time, Disney's not a sucker for not with the storyline and keeping the fans in the loop and everything. They want to create a product that anyone, little kid or adult, can jump on the bandwagon and not have to watch or know everything. Like Last Jedi, I mean, they know everyone's watched Force Awakens, but at the same time, Last Jedi is something you could probably just jump into with the way it's introduced. These characters. So that being said, I feel
we've already jumped into the Last Jedi or the two Sith rule. The whole years we've never needed a flashback or a prequel. People have just said, there can only be 2. So what if they feel that's not big enough for a movie and that's where we'll come in a series? They could easily do that.
They could. I feel like in regards to Maul or whatever being on the screen, I feel like they know that people aren't going to be able to go or aren't going to want to or are going to go back and watch several seasons of the Clone Wars and Rebels just to figure out what happened to Maul, just to see him in a half an hour long scene.
I think that percentage is very small. I think it's very...
would go back and watch it?
Yes, I do. I think those are
I don't think many
hardcores.
people would.
No, but that's what I mean. I don't think it would matter. I think those people still be like, oh, Darth Maul's great. And I'll ask one of my loser friends, Taylor or Travis.
It's not an explanation that they would want to waste time in a movie when they have that explanation already written out on media. Like,
but I'm
TV
saying
shows.
they could have taken that out, like the whole ending on Rebels, they could have taken that out and not redo it, just
they could have
save it.
He already was developed too much in Rebels as a character, especially with Ezra, and I feel like he started in the animated series. So
he started in the movies.
Well, yeah, his resurrection started in the animated series.
It did, but still he started in the movies.
He did start in the movies, yeah. Mm-hmm. If they left it open, his survival in the movie, then that would have been different. Mm-hmm. They could carry him off in the animated series, then bring him back in the actual movie. But I mean, you're right. It would definitely sell it, probably. But at the same time, I feel like there'd just be a lot of wasted space in that kind of a movie. What was your other question?
That was it.
Oh, okay.
Do you have any points else to throw out there about this whole situation?
I really want Thrawn on the big screen, and I only say that because
if Darth Maul was put into Rebels, that's where Thrawn is.
But he's dead. That's the thing. Thrawn is alive after the events of Episode 7.
I know, but I think the second, and that's why I always worried about Revan when they almost introduced him in Clone Wars. I think same thing as Ahsoka. Sorry, people. The second a character goes in animation, they're in that file and they're stuck there. I think Thrawn can be in the next animated show.
What about Saw Gerrera?
Different. He went. Didn't he? Well,
he started animation.
Okay. Difference is that he did start animation, but okay, Ahsoka maybe, but what was I gonna say? Maul and Thrawn were pre-existing characters. Maul from the movie and Thrawn from the books. I'm talking about those characters. Like I said, Ahsoka, we'll see, but characters that were huge in different mediums and brought over, since then they don't go back. We've not seen that yet. We've not seen any character and there's only been a few, so that's why we can't say. Like I said, I'd only think of Thrawn and Darth Maul so far that have gone from bigger media to over to the anime show.
But that's the thing with Thrawn, though, as a character. He's only been in the books, and then, with the exception of a couple video games, but then he was brought up into the next stage being the animation. I feel like the fact that they're giving him so much attention... I think that's the final stage. I don't know.
They gave Darth Maul a lot of attention, because to me, I'll fight you to your death. I still think Maul has so much money potential that they did not use. Yes, it helps in Rebels. Yes, it helps in comics. But that would have boosted a film. Maybe it would have been great story-wise. Maybe they didn't do that. But that would have boosted the film. Thrawn doesn't even do that as Darth Maul. He does not have that same following before you get on your fanboy. Like, I love Thrawn. It would. No. People don't know who You go... next time when we see Justice League, because Last Jedi doesn't count. Those are all Star Wars nerds. You see Justice League, ask people, hey, who's Thrawn? Maybe 1 out of 10 are going to tell them. You ask who Darth Maul is, I think almost at least... I'd go 9 out of 10. And that's the thing, where if Maul's not making it over, I don't think Thrawn is. Thrawn is an interesting character, but I think he is subjected to animation. I think whatever the next animated show is, he's going to be in that, and that's why he survives.
I don't know. I doubt he'd be in the numbered saga films. I feel like he could make some kind of an appearance.
I think Krennic was your Thrawn. That was your equivalent. That's what you got. He had the same white jacket. No. He had a similar mentality.
No. Yeah. No, it's not mentality. No way.
No, I guess not. Yeah, that was bad. I was gonna say mentality more like personality, but you're right. I was wrong on that one. But they gave him his look. They took his look away and they gave it to Krennic.
I don't know.
Because you know why? Because you're gonna hate it. But now, next time they put Thrawn in live action, everyone's gonna be like, "Man, he looks like Krennic from Rogue One." That's what moviegoers are gonna say. So that's why I don't think you're gonna get Thrawn. I think he's gonna be the villain of the next animation.
They're releasing a new book for Thrawn. I feel like there's just they're
releasing Darth Maul comics all the time.
They still releasing those?
Yeah, there was one come out a couple months ago, but he's still dead on Tatooine somewhere.
What is it about? I'm curious.
I think it's before. I don't know if it was a miniseries or a continuing series, but it was before. It was before Episode 1, Phantom Menace.
Really?
Yeah, it was like his relationship with the Emperor. So I think I've heard mixed things. So I want to check out one time. But
okay. Well, Thrawn's not at comic book level yet, so that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like where the book is at this point. Like him just meeting Darth Vader. I feel like that's just opened up a whole storyline for this character.
Darth Vader, who's also dead.
Who's also
yeah. All these people.
Thrawn is alive after Episode 7, which is good news. There's so much to work with.
That's not been confirmed though.
It's confirmed.
Is it confirmed?
Yeah.
Confirmed because he went on the outer rim.
It's
but
confirmed.
no. What if he just died the first day he stepped on? He's like, "I'm ready to explore."
No, 'cause-
what if that's how the next animated show starts? Saying, "I'm ready to explore," and the ship explodes.
Because I'm pretty sure
And
he
it's
was
Snoke.
He was Snoke. He
Snoke
was
killed
one of the leaders mobilizing at the Battle of Jakku. I know
maybe
that
he
much.
died after Jakku on the
No,
toilet.
it didn't say.
It didn't say that. It didn't say he didn't.
Those Wikipedia pages don't lie.
I was also doing the math too. So let's say if this trilogy, which the thing is, we're talking about now, we're not going to hear about what this trilogy is for years now, because if they're saying it's 2020 and we're in 2017, we're not going to hear for at least till 2019. They're probably going to do that so they don't confuse the message with the episode trilogy. So I think this could even come out 2021. But let's even play devil's advocate. No, I'm going to go 2021. I think 2020 is too close after. I don't think they'll go episode 9, the Johnson trilogy. I think they'll give it. So I would say there'd be like episode 9, a spin-off, and then this new trilogy. So that's 2021. There's been 2 years in between every Star Wars film. Mm-hmm. So that would take us to... And a trilogy, I think, will work the same as the episode. So 2021, 2023, and then 2025, right? And
yes.
then I think that would mean that episode... It sounds weird, but I think episode 10 will be in that 2026, 2027. So I literally think them kind of saying that I think after... episode 9, it's going to be, I guess, not a decade from there, but it'll be a decade from now. I think it won't come out till 2027.
Sucks how far away that is.
Yeah, but they'll build up the hype with Rey and Finn and Poe, and then when they come back, and luckily they won't be as old, I think, as Luke and Leia and all of them. So
well, that's the cool thing. I mean, we're technically we're aging with Rey and Finn and Poe.
Thank God.
We're around that.
I've always said now with Avengers and Justice League's on next week, I can die happy because I feel bad for some people that are older. Like, I'm just getting this stuff now. It's like. Oh man, I've had like 8 Batman movies and I'm only 24. So, anything else? Or are you ready to go to the plugs? Good conversation. That was good. That was a lot to break down. Very excited. This got me more excited than anything they announced. I liked Rogue One enough. I'd be excited for Obi-Wan, but I want them to do new adventures, new characters, new stories. Even if it's something like Bane and Revan, something that's not connected to the OG movies, and that's what I can take away. That. I think no matter what, I don't know about the TV show, but at least the trilogy sounds like it's going to be new, and that's exciting. This is the most excited I've been for like a non-episode Star Wars movie, and good talent behind it. So
well, yeah, I mean, I'm totally excited to see what's going to come out of it. I hope. I mean, they know what they're doing. Obviously, they're like, hey, you.
Well, we haven't seen Han Solo yet, so let's wait and see if they know what they're doing.
Yeah, but
that could be the one.
Rian Johnson's not the guy behind that, though.
Yeah,
so.
No, but Rian Johnson sounds like he knows. It sounds like they're pretty happy with him if they're giving him a whole trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, JJ didn't even get that, and he's the one who.
To be honest, JJ did say he didn't want to do sequels, remember? So.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be a sequel to Force Awakens. They could have been like, well, do you think that actually? Do you think they would have went to JJ after a success and be like, hey, do you want a whole trilogy to yourself for Star Wars?
No, I don't think that, because I think. Even though I'm one of the biggest JJ defenders, I think Rian Johnson's storytelling is very unique and it's very different. I think that's what they're looking for. I think Rogue One and Han Solo are very much the safe spin-off stories of we're going to hit this, this, and this. I think once I saw he did Last Jedi, he wants to do more Star Wars. I think they want to, if they want to take a risk on somebody, they want to do it on Rian Johnson. And it's kind of unfair because JJ didn't get to do that. I think after episode 9, you can ask that question again, which is years away, but he's even said, JJ's not around said, he said, like, this is going to be, you've seen, like, we're going to unite the trilogies, we're going to do some different stuff. JJ's pretty much said, hey, like, I'm not going to fucking put in Ewoks and a second Death Star. Like, every comment, if you read between the lines, he's saying, I get it, people say I make the same thing, I'm going to show you wrong. Maybe after that, but he didn't get that chance, because I think with Force Awakens, he brought a style to it, but anybody was going to direct that type of movie of like it's kind of a reboot, right? It's a reboot, but a soft reboot. So I think he didn't get the chance to, where Rian Johnson got the chance to play in the sandbox, change stuff up, really go crazy, and I think they liked what they saw, and they said, hey, if we're going to do our first movie that's about all new stuff, all characters, maybe a new era, let's put it on this guy who we know we worked with well and has a good vision, where they don't want to bring in they didn't want to bring in it was either going to be him or JJ. I think that's saying if it wasn't him, it'd be JJ, and I think this probably came from a conversation he maybe had of, hey, this is going great, we work together, I have this idea. What his idea is, like I said, we're going to have to wait years to find out. I think I hope in a week or two, or even a month, or even by the end of the year, maybe next year after Last Jedi, but I hope that we hear even some details just on the air, because the second they know the era, then we'll have a bit more to work with of what we're expecting.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if it's anything era-wise after the sequel trilogy, we won't get any details on it for a long time.
But that's what I was gonna say. Do you think if we don't get it, this is long balling, but if from a whole year, so anytime after Last Jedi to whatever, the next December, if they don't specify the era of the movie, do you think that leads more credence to it being after 9?
Oh yeah.
I think in the next
so.
6 months, or even by D23, if they don't say that, hey, this is prequel era, this is Old Republic era, new era, if they don't specify until we're getting until 2019, I think it's 100% in new canon because they don't want to spoil anything, right? So. Because maybe it's characters dealing with Rey's gone bad. Like, what if the new trilogy is about living in, like, a really desperate time? Like, even more desperate than before, you know? So, I think if we don't get any announcement in the next 6 months of the eras, that could be a big sign that, oh yeah, this is gonna be after 9. And that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. No, for sure.
What else is interesting, Taylor?
This podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Basically, with your internet connection, you can find us. It's been a while since I had to do this.
Really?
It's been 2 weeks. Yeah, in the search bar, on your Facebook. Wow, yes, go on your Facebook in the search bar there and type in GeekVerse Space Podcast because we're awesome and this is awesome. This is Cantina Conversations.
Oh yeah.
And there's tons of other cool stuff on there. And I'm gonna be picking up Star Wars Battlefront 2 next week. Oh my god. I won't play it right away because we got Justice League, so I can't go to the late night launch for that. But
I held the game today actually.
You held the game? You have them already?
Yeah, I can't say who, but I did hold the game.
You don't you in your break room, don't you have like a PS4 or Xbox One that you can set up?
I'm not gonna get in trouble and lose my job.
No?
No.
Well, I don't work there, so I could come and play it.
Wow.
No, I won't do that.
That was the most awkward pause ever, and now I've just lost my job.
But yeah, I'm gonna dish out some stuff for Star Wars Battlefront 2 or whatever. You're not getting the game right away though.
Nope, I don't think so. I haven't decided. I might be a last minute buy. We'll see.
That campaign isn't enough to pull you in.
We'll see. I gotta listen to reviews. We've already talked about this before.
Yeah, we had that conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in this. Go to YouTube and Twitch where you can find all our podcasts. Twitch, I'm pretty sure we'll be having all the stuff up there now. We're finding a way back to live streaming it soon, so that'll be good. I think Dylan and Tyler tomorrow are dropping Murder on the Orient Express review, so check that out. You can find that all on SoundCloud, iTunes, Podbay, Stitcher, Google Play for audio, and like I said, video on YouTube and Twitch. Big time, most importantly, you can check out Justice League review. We're doing that Thursday night of because we want to get hot and heavy in the conversation right after the theater. You can go Superhero News Roundup I released a couple days ago. The Embargo review is still rumored to be dropping a day before the movie, and I tell you why you should start worrying and why maybe you can be a better fan and not lose your minds. But it's a good conversation, talk about Marvel and Disney, maybe buying Fox. But next week's Justice League review, we got a huge November plan. We got Star Wars coming up soon. So thank you very much for tuning in, and may the Force be with you.
I got my Justice League ticket for free.
Oh, really? You stole it?
No, I bought